Today, our fight for survival begins.
Hello there, from 17 once again. This is my Extinction Master Sentinel video walkthrough. We are on the 12th chapter. It's called Family Ties, and once again I sure hope you enjoy defending watchtowers because you're in it. And it's the same thing we did last time. We're going to be building rune energy off of refugees. We're going to be killing the occasional jackals when we come into them, and we're going to be making sure that these big fellas do not go near that huge glaring hood element on our right just there. And our success will almost exclusively be indicative of what our enemy does. And it's one of the things I want to really instill in this walkthrough to people who are coming to these videos frustrated. Because you might watch this and you might think, well, my game doesn't go that way, this is bullshit. And I get you, I really do, and I understand it more so than you know, because the game is very random, and the randomness is going to give the game more legs and more life than it perhaps normally would have. Oh, by the way, the reason that padlock was hit there instantly and killed was because I have a fully charged sword. That's what happens when you upgrade the ability to have more damage when your rune energy is full. And I recommend full rune energy, for damage. I recommend the 25% or 20% rune energy at all times, even when you use your killing blow. I recommend the radar ability, of course, because it helps your radar be a little less dog shit. And then I recommend the quick crystal refugee saving. Those are the abilities that you really should get. But once again, folks, I would recommend you save doing all the stars when your character is probably fully upgraded, because then you're going to be able to move the fastest you can move, you're going to be able to hit the hardest you can hit, and you're going to just have the best options to deal with every situation, and it makes the game a lot easier. It just does. It's the smartest option. But here is the padlock fella. We take off his leg. He's going to fall down. Be careful whenever you go for the padlock guy's arms, because you have to put yourself in a place where he can recognise you there and attack you to break those locks. I would much rather go for the shoulder pads, which the reason I'm going for the shoulder pads right now, the pauldrons, is because it's building killing strike energy. And then when I jump in front of him now, I'll kill the lock in one hit, rather than having to hit it twice. And hitting the lock on these padlock fellas can be really frustrating when you're new to the game. Your first experience with understanding how to get rid of that faceplate of his can be very, very annoying. And it's something you need to get good at doing, because through extension of the mechanics, the bone giant, he has a very similar mechanic, only his is timed. So instead of being always able to jump in front and hit the padlock, you have to wait for him to attack you, jump in front, and then hit a skull on his forehead. So you need to be able to do that at will. And it doesn't look like the most difficult thing to do, and it isn't, but once again, there are moments where the automatic nature of this game can make it really awkward. And anything that is awkward can mess up, and you need to be aware of that. Because a lot of it is player error, you know, there's a lot of human error in there, but there's also moments where your character starts running on a wall, or, you know, wall running on the stomach of a Raveni, and you're like, what are you doing, man? And then you go to jump to get off of the wall run, thinking that it would, you know, logically jump in the direction he's sprinting quickly towards, and he just completely shifts direction, loses all momentum, and you're like, this is weird. I really am baffled, actually, by the wall running in the game. Because I thought it was going to be super, super sexy, and then it took forever to get, and then when I got it, like, I didn't like it. And that's coming from somebody who loves wall running. Doesn't matter what it is. You know, Sunset Overdrive, loved the wall running. Devil May Cry 2, loved the wall running. Titanfall, loved the wall running. You know, this game, not so much. Uh-oh, I'm going to get slapped. Got to be careful. So a good piece of advice here, guys, is if you're ever in the middle of the legs of the giants, always go towards the underside of their thigh and around them that way, because usually if you're close enough you'll not get hit by the radius of their attacks, and almost all of their attacks have that weird splash, which you need to be aware of because it will knock you over, and because it is such an interesting radius, it doesn't have to be anywhere near you. Because before this game came out I was thinking what I could do with it, and I was excited to do a whole host of things that I've done with games I've really loved, and then I played it, of course, and I was disappointed. And as much as I think the game is fun and I do like it, I still find it to be profoundly disappointing, and when something's disappointing it really kills my lust to do something crazy and fancy and awesome with it. Which is what I was hoping to do. I was hoping to do all kinds of crazy stuff for this. But then I looked at the achievement list and it was really safe and really like uninspired, and then of course I got frustrated with certain facets of the gameplay and I was like, I'll just do this, this'll be fine. But chop this guy's leg off, 68%, towers left. We've got a tower just in front of this buddy. He has the purses there on the back of his belt, which are really useful for scaling with. And to give you an idea, if you'll never play this game, when I hook those purses, it throws your Sentinel up into a sprint up the back that you don't control. It does it automatically. And that's why it looks so goofy sometimes, because you're waiting for it to do it. And I want to know what the game would have looked like if they would have trusted us to do things like that. Because the game always seems to be in a state of wanting you to move upwards. It's kind of strange, actually. But once you get used to it, you can definitely manage it. It's not so bad. But look at the map right now. Look at how many of the jackals there are just knocking around. This is when the game is awesome, because if I needed to kill jackals for an objective, they're all there. If I needed to kill them to get my killing strike, I can chop his leg off and I can kill the jackals and build my rune energy. But when you need it, it's not there. And when you don't need it, it's there. So it's that weird irony of just, why does it work like this? So just waste some time building some energy here by killing a bunch of these fellas. And there's one just over there. They do blend in quite a lot, even though they are quite a light green. A couple more fellas this way. And we have no giant right now. We've felled the Titan, and it's just us and the little scrubs. I was also kind of interesting that the game has an automatic camera. So the camera loves to lock onto the Reveni and kind of track with them when you're close, which can be useful. It can also be a pain in the ass. But there's no option for any kind of lock-on, which maybe it's in the buttons, maybe I didn't press the correct button. It could always be just I never found it, and admittedly I never looked. But I was surprised that the game didn't feature some kind of principal lock-on, especially with the combos, because a lot of the times when you're doing those fancy combos, you can do them to thin air, nowhere near the enemy, and the enemy can be stood like an inch away, just being like, what are you doing? And it leads to those silly moments of you comboing thin air and trying to angle it towards them and just missing them. But this guy's leg's gone. If you pause it, by the way, guys, you can see how much left is on the timer for these protection missions, which is really useful. Because another strategy on these particular watchtower levels as well is you don't have to kill the big guys, you can keep them alive. And I was hoping to discover some kind of exploit along the lines of more giants only turn up if you kill them, but it doesn't work that way. Oftentimes they're timed, but in certain moments it can be better to keep chopping one Titan's legs off and then going and killing the new Titan with powers and abilities, and then coming back to the easy Titan to get your abilities back from, and that can be quite an effective strategy. But I'll leave it down to you guys, because I only really needed to do that once, and it's on one of the hardest missions in the game, and everybody's probably going to approach that one slightly differently. But thank you for watching, and you take care now.